Every story begins at the end of another.
Oh man, did that line ever age horribly. Now, if you didn't know, Tales of Kenzera Zao is a woke failure that actually kind of makes me feel a little bit bad for the situation. It's easy enough to laugh at games like Concord and Dustborn for pushing this stupid propaganda on us that feels so awkward and out of place. It's actually kind of a cultural phenomenon. But Tales of Kenzaro Zao is a game that looks actually fairly decent. It's a game that if I bought on Switch, it probably wouldn't be that bad. Although initially after I see it, there's nothing really about it that entertains me. It feels a little bit too bright at times. The art style looks good, but at the same time, it's just one of those games that I'd probably buy for $1 or two. You can tell actual effort went into this game, so I mean that makes it even more sad for the developers. And it just so happened that this game got more than swept up in the modern culture war we've come to love so much. And it all comes to this individual named Abu Bakr Salim. Now, on the surface level, he seems like a fairly awesome dude. He was in Assassin's Creed Origins. He had a movie career. He was in Game of Thrones. He seems like a creative individual and a dude who would probably be awesome to game with. But when he had to shut the studio down recently from Tales of Kanzaro Zao, it really left a sour taste in my mouth. Because, the poor dude actually tried, and, he probably got wrapped up a little bit in the culture war, yes. But it doesn't kind of take away from the fact that he created a meh game. It doesn't look like it's something on the scale or scope of, what anywhere near of what an Assassin's Creed game is. And it just kind of looks like a game made basically by a small team of people and not over a very long period of time. Let's take for a minute to observe Tales of Kenzaro Zao on Steam, where it has people playing 1, people playing in the last 24 hours 8, and the most people playing at all time at 232. Now that wouldn't even be good numbers if that was a RPG maker game made in some dude's bedroom over the course of the weekend, but for a big mainline title that was featured at the Game Awards, that's not a great look. And it seemed to be a rallying cry for the alt left to attack the gaming industry as normal. And you know what? The whole thing, I kind of feel bad for Salim, to be honest. Clearly, the dude's heart is in the right place, and you know what? Gaming should be a place where everybody has, like, a voice, shouldn't it? I mean, we could do anything with video games, but we have to get rid of all this weird culture around, what's right and woke and all this stupidity. Let's just let our creative minds go freely. He offered us the game, but we didn't really want to play it. And I'd like to work with a developer to just make crazy game that is representative of history and culture without all the stigma and nastiness that goes wrong and disrupts the creative process. I mean, just think of how epic a game like this would be if you cast Zalim in as a Zulu warrior in the 1879 British War against the Zulu Kingdom. I mean, there's millions of ways you could have it. You could have Salim as a main character, kicking ass, open world, exploring the plains of Africa during this period of history. I mean, that is a creative's idea of what could be an amazing thing that not only represents other cultures, but also accept other gamers like me who would love to play a game based on the Zulu War, but may never ever get made because of just this kind of unaccepting ways of the past. Yes, bad things happened in the past. There's no denying that to every culture on Earth. But I mean, at the same time, you have to be accepting of different periods of time in history. But oh man, did this game ever flop hardcore. And like you go over the Steam page and you've got mostly positive 75 and 85s. There's no disputing that this game is probably fairly decent and playable. But when you go through the reviews, we get all kinds of different things. We get people who are giving it honest reviews, people who are just shitting on it. Most of it is decent. The things go for it in this game, and it's not entirely horrible, which makes it in that kind of midpoint now where we have people who are having games that do fail, although it's just in this time period where gaming is at a very weird place and awkward. And because of Salim's depressing story, you had YouTubers like Asmongold making fun of his controversies. You had controversial influencers like Mighty Keef accusing people of racism. And you had Salim himself, who's just been ultimately melting down on Twitter for the last week. So this all does very little to help the culture war raging in video games these days. But things got even worse for Salim when he made a video on his Twitter page about shutting the studio down and how the game had absolutely failed. And you just gotta feel sorry for the dude. I mean, it's just a video that, you gotta think, he's a rich actor, he's got connections. He's probably gonna be fine from all this, but on it, he has a trail of just a failed idea, a failed concept, and it's got to become apparent to him that things are going to be very difficult to navigate in today's modern culture wars. And I think that the sad truth of the modern gaming industry is that we're so inundated with amazing games that we could play games from 20 years ago all weekend and not skip a beat. There's so many games, and nowadays games have to be something so big and so extravagant to even capture a minuscule amount of the attention from the general public. So when you have a game like Tales of Kenzera that's infected with the sweet baby plague, that has shown that people are not really into representation. There's small demographics at play. You're gonna get a failure no matter how much passion and creativity you pour into something. If it's not something that people enjoy playing, it's just ultimately not gonna cut it in the greater gaming sphere. And Salim's meltdowns on Twitter and the story of how the game is just an absolute true failure is not helping anything. And I think it's only a matter of time that we're going to get even crazier stories, that it's hard to even say that, but even crazier stories of just this insane clash we have going on in the culture wars. And it's a mere shame that a creator who could have probably made a much better game performing wise is kind of now shown to be a part of this whole controversy. So once again, Salim gave us his game, but we just didn't feel like playing it. I mean, that's the true manner of it. It's nothing really personal. It's just what we are. But hey, Salim, if you wanted to ever make an amazing game, I've got an crazy ass idea for a game I would just love to make one day. It would smash this whole culture war thing right in the face. We could make it on the Zulu War of 1879, show sides of real history, and just make a crazy creative project that captures a period of time in history that's gonna be lost and nobody's ever gonna talk about. Why? Because, well, we make everything political. We don't make it about creative art. And if it's any consultation, it's probably Sweet Baby that caused your game to fail so fucking hard, because from what I've seen of the screenshots and the gameplay, it doesn't look particularly bad. It's just not a game I would go out on my way to play when I have so many great other games just overflowing. Perhaps there could have been more features in Zao. Perhaps there could have been a bigger, grander story at play. But what you have essentially is a Nintendo Switch title that kind of okay works. You know, it's not a setting that is probably everybody's cup of tea, but at the same time, now that it's caught up in the culture war, there's no saving Zhao, and it's a toast game, another casualty of the culture wars.
No, I'm going to offer you this game.